Hey guys, so it's pretty much all back together now. Not much to go. I'll just explain what I need to do in a sec. So what I've done is I put all the cams in. I'm pretty sure I showed you that, and put the rock cover on. Put the crank angle sensor in. I didn't show you how to do that because there's pretty decent write-ups on there anyway. So if you want to know how to do that, just search how to install CAS SR20 on Google, and it should come up with a pretty decent write-up on it. It's fairly simple to put in. Basically, you'll know when you're reading the tutorial, but basically there's two dots, and then there's one single dot on the actual CAS, and you have to line up the dots. And if they're completely lined up, this should be dead in the center, like you can see here. So it should be dead in the center if it's done correctly. Those two dots should line up perfectly when this is dead in the center. If you have to move it a little bit to line it up, then you've got one tooth wrong. I'm not going to go too much into that because I'm probably not making sense right now, but anyone that's actually doing it will probably understand. So I've got all new gaskets. So I got the rock cover gasket, and I got spark plug well seals, I think they're called. Just seals that seal the spark where the coil pack goes in around the rock cover. If those are leaking, you'll notice when you take your coil pack out, there'll be oil inside the spark plug hole, and you don't have to worry. So if there's oil in your spark plug hole, this is for any car, it'll be that seal in the rock cover. So it'll circle O-ring pretty much, and that'll be leaking. So while you're there, you might as well change your rock cover seal. So if that's happening, order a rock cover seal and the spark plug well seals, and just change them all at once. Really easy. Just take all the rock cover bolts off, and obviously you might need to take some hoses off and some vac lines, pop it off and replace them. Piss. You don't have to go to a mechanic. So I've cleaned up the face of this, and I'm about to put the intake manifold on. I put the coolant thermostat temperature housing. So this is where the temp sensors go, and it also feeds coolant to your heater hoses. I put that on. The full Nissan gasket kit didn't come with a gasket for this, and when I was pulling it off, I noticed it was gasket glued on. Now, I don't think this engine was touched, so I'm pretty sure it's gasket glued on factory. So that's what I did. I used the Nissan gasket glue. I've used Nissan gasket glue for the water pump and the thermostat housing, and now this. That's the only things I've used gasket glue for in this whole entire engine. Pretty sure, anyway. Got new silicone hoses for here. I'm not sure if I said in the last video. Just quickly go over everything. I got the new PCV valve, so I'll take this red one off and replace it with a nice shiny one. And yeah, so I'll put the intake manifold on. That should be a piece of piss. Just line up all the hoses, connect all these bottom hoses before you actually fully connect it, and then chuck her on. Then once the intake manifold's on, I can put the turbo on. Obviously you can put the turbo on before. You just need to connect this coolant feed line, which should match up on the turbo, I'm hoping. Yeah, right here. This is the old hose, as hard as a rock. If I can even get it off. I think I might need to cut it off. Yeah, that's shit. But that was rock hard, so that's no good. You don't want them rock hard, so I got a new hose, silicone, and put that on there. So I just connect it up, cut it to the side because it's a little bit long. It's just a random hose, really. And yeah, so I'll chuck the intake manifold on now, and might do the turbo, see how I go for time, and I'll show you the result. Sweet. Okay, so I've chucked the intake manifold on. Didn't go around to doing the turbo yet. I'll do that tomorrow, because the intake manifold is actually quite a big job making it look nice. I resprayed all these little brackets, just made it look a little bit cleaner because they're all black, so they really stand out when they're dirty. So every single part needs to be cleaned because any dirty parts just really stand out. I should have sprayed the manifold, but really not too fast because I'm sure this is all going to get dirty sooner or later. All the hoses are on. Bottom hose there. This is like coolant in and out for your throttle body. You don't really need this for here, but in Japan, where the car's made, it's really cold, so they have coolant that runs through the throttle body to heat it up. I'm pretty sure that's what I can gather anyway. As you can see, I've used all new hoses here because the old ones were dry, and I've just put this hose on there for now just to sort of stretch it out a little bit because you have to widen it. I'll put the new PCV valve on and obviously the clamps soon, but for now it's all good. I just thought I'd whack it on there to show you. I'm still missing a bolt for the water pump. I did get one, but it turns out I got one wrong one, so I have to go back there and get one more bolt, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but you get that. The alternator is all on. It's still loose, so I can adjust it. I need to get new belts because, yeah, I think I said it in the previous, not this video, the one before that one, that I need to get smaller belts because of this pulley. So, this harmonic balancer. So I'll measure those up and get some belts tomorrow. The manifold actually has some bracing, so the manifold has a brace there, and it has another one behind the alternator here. If you can see that, runs across there and then down there. That was a bit of a bitch to get on. I had to take the alternator off to adjust it. All the hoses under intake manifold are on. All these, this one here, that's for your brake booster. And you can see those little hoses underneath there. They're pretty easy to get on. I reorientated the hose clamps on the blue hose. Can't really see it, but it's down there because the hose clamps are facing up. So I've put them down, so if that hose does blow, I can replace it without having to take the manifold off. Because, yeah, so all the hoses under the manifold have been put in such a way so you can replace them. Same with these ones, all the hose clamps are facing up, so you can replace them if need be. And yeah, so I'll just sand this, give it a quick sand before I put the exhaust manifold on. I've got to sand up all the exhaust manifold and all that sort of stuff, put all new gaskets through it still, and then I can chuck that on and connect up the coolant lines. I'm going to get a new hose for the oil drain and probably a new, oh no, I already got a new hose for this one. Still got to put a plug in the back down there and the rear main, and that's all there's left to do. I got a heat plug on the back Welsh plug, and basically what that'll do is it'll melt if the head's overheated. So what I can do is, yeah, I can stick my hand down there, and if that plug is melted, then I know that the head's overheated. So if you suspect a gasket's blown, head gasket's blown, then you can feel that. It's probably just a little good indication. I'm just going to leave it at that, guys. Don't want to ramble on too much. But yeah, I made a hell of a lot of progress, and it will definitely be all done tomorrow. There's really not a lot left to do. The turbo won't take long, and just doing all the belts and little stuff like that will take a little while, putting the rear main seal in, crap like that. But I'll do that soonish. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned, and there's more to come. Cheers. See ya.